The team we have chosen is the French soccer team. This team is composed of 23 French players. These players are selected by their coach, Didier Deschamps, and the owners of the team. For our project, we are going to focus on the team members from the 2018 World Cup, which was played in Russia. In each international match, the team is likely to be modified according to the injuries and the performances of the players. This team has a first staff revolve around the players with different coaches, fitness trainers, medical staff, video technicians, press chief, safety manager, and cooks. The coach Didier Deschamps chose this team according by asking himself a series of questions in order to shape his ideal team. He asked a question of group balance or management of ego for a collective led to live together from the beginning of the competition, the 23rd of May, and until the 15th of July, the final day. For him, the football qualities are essential, but the social aspect and the state of mind are also very important. That is to stay with equal or slightly lower value between two players. The coach will favor an element more inclined to accept the competition, to stay on the bench, and not to sink the atmosphere within the group for personal considerations. In this video, we see the head coach Didier Deschamps and the players reunited. He is explaining why he chose them. He is saying, I chose you because I trust you. I chose you for your individual football qualities, but also for your human qualities. The state of mind is really important. Learn about what you experienced last year. Each has its character, but what is essential is that I trust you. That is why he puts importance on such a dosage, living together, not to worry about the malaise of one or the other during the competition. One of the keys to success. Before leaving for Russia, the Blues followed a training course in the National Center. The work was personalized. France has played 7 matches, including 3 in the pool phase and 4 in the finals. It won all its matches, except one in the pool match where it drew. It won the World Cup by beating Croatia in the final, 4-2, on July the 15th. As the winner of the World Cup, the team dynamics were clearly successful and effective.
The French national soccer team is stacked with young soccer prodigies with extraordinary talent, a fact that was on full display as France celebrated the team's World Cup win on July 15, 2018. It is profoundly beautiful to see so much diversity in the victorious French national team. The players are so close-knit, and their joy and celebration of each other is infectious. They radiate love and unbridled happiness. This black, white, Arab, Christian, and Muslim team of players who are mostly immigrants, children of immigrants, or descendants of immigrants. Seeing them jumping around and hugging after coming together to achieve a shared dream is an image that can act as an ideal for what our greater world should be, especially in a time when the world is increasingly hostile to the identities of those players. Also, they resolve the problems that could have held them back. Too many egos, not enough balance, and imperfect defense. Besides, this was a team that limped to a 1-1 draw with a second-string USA side on the eve of the tournament. The mental and collective strengths of this team are far more superior than in 2016. They are hungry and determined. Giving nothing away, never, said their coach over and over again before the game against Belgium. France's World Cup victory is a reminder that nurture, not nature, determines success. Every team has their own history. Every generation of players has its own path towards glory.
The team stood out in many ways compared to the other teams in the World Cup tournament. France won the World Cup title in the past, and they worked hard to achieve it again. Spectators noticed that the team went through the tournament with little fuss and much success. Coach Deschamps picked his team not only based on skill, but also on their state of mind. The team had many groups of people that were there for them. These groups ranged from medical staff to cooks. With so many people looking out for them and their well-being, they were physically and mentally better than the other teams. One thing that France does that is different than other teams is that they give their shareholders a voice in the selection process. While the coach gets the final say in which players make the team, The shareholders and sponsors will both be able to influence the coaches to an extent. This is because the sponsors ultimately pay the coach's salary, and without fans, there are no professional sports. Behind the team was the support of the entire country of France. Many of the players were from low-income areas in Paris. These players still have ties to their communities and were therefore viewed as hometown heroes. In addition to this, they had the support of people in upper-level leadership roles. Several news articles showed the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, cheering on his team during the games. From the pictures, he looks like an ordinary fan who just left a day at the office. The team was successful because of the mindset and support that they had.
The 2018 French soccer team's stellar performance in the World Cup can be greatly linked to their team dynamics. Despite their cultural differences and competing talents, each team member was able to come together and get a World Cup win for France. According to Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions of a team, trust is foundational for the success of a team. Here we'll see Lencioni discuss in more depth trust.
When people can be that emotionally buck naked with one another, it changes the dynamic of a team completely. It helps people trust one another inherently. Now, the only way we can achieve that vulnerability-based trust on a team is if the leader goes first. People have to know that the leader is going to take that leap of faith and be vulnerable, and that will give them the permission to do so also. Vulnerability-based trust is at the heart of teamwork.
Just as Lencioni has discussed that the team leader must initiate vulnerability and show vulnerability first, French's head coach has demonstrated that vulnerability. He has discussed that his philosophy on leadership has an emphasis on trust, communication, and authenticity. He quotes, "The role I have is about having a moral contract, creating a link based on trust within his teammates." Because of that trust, the team members have followed Deschamps and learned to trust one another on and off the field. Despite each player's differences, they collectively had a team identity. According to Griffiths and Dunham's text, working in teams, a team identity establishes norms, values, and characteristics that separates them from other teams. Hubert Fournier, the manager of the French soccer team, has established a team identity. That identity is what he quotes, "The typical French player is complete in technical, tactical, and athletic sense." Another identifying feature or characteristic of the team is that they discover and nurtures talents within the country. Selected potential players at the age of 13 begin training at academies across France. During their training, not only do the players learn soccer skills, but also adopt values and attitudes that align with the team identity. Hunger and determination was felt by all members of the team. Each player was committed to themselves, each other, and France. This commitment is demonstrated by their passion on the field and during the infamous pre-match speeches that many players have given.
Sports team dynamic makes it essential that a team advance as a collective in order to succeed as individuals and as the group. One of the most logistical changes that we've seen is an evolution of diversity on these national teams. This has not only expanded the racial prospects for team members, but has also allowed individuals' experiences to help shape the team as a whole. Over the past few years, the West Europe's World Cup teams have not been compromised of members of purely European descent, but they've been multiracial teams. Due to the success of France, it is predicted that other countries in Europe have begun expanding their search and been more willing to provide a larger and more diversified pool of players to pick from. Another big player in the World Cup is Brazil and Germany. Over the past 20 years, these teams have made it to the final rounds of the tournament on many occasions. For this reason, we can see that even with the turnover, within some teams have formulated best practices that they can help the longevity of a team's success. Brazil, for example, won in 1994 and 2002, as well as placing second in 1998. Germany was able to win the World Cup in 1990 and 2014, and was able to place second in 2002. The longevity of a team's success is something that has been associated with the positive environment in which they surround themselves. Typically, when analyzing a previous finalist of the World Cup, we see a trend of countries which have been successful, that have a burst of energy in their viewership and sense of national pride. This tends to a lingering national pride that will end up rolling over into the next tournament. These teams have also overcome dysfunctions. Due to national titles, World Cup teams have been unable to avoid accountability. They are national icons and accountable to representing the countries to the best of their abilities. They are able to overcome this dysfunction because the media is constantly reporting and their training schedules force them to self-analyze and be subject to various progress reviews. Many of the teams are able to fuel their success by love of country and dedication for the team. This raw dedication to the team and country forges bonds which promote best practices. Some more specific best practices include team-building retreats. This way the team is able to bond with their fellow teammates. This best practice of developing interpersonal relationships is vital. Additionally, the crucial practice of self-analysis occurs as players are encouraged to rewatch games and learn from their behaviors. These best practices are applicable to other organizations outside of the sports realm.